Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. Archie, Vishnu, people, I don't know. It will take a miracle for me to get through tonight's show in an hour and a half. Archie, let me just say a prayer to get through the show in an hour and a half, okay? How you mean start? What happened to you, Archie? Were you buffing me for praying? Eh? You thought the thing stick? Nobody said just pray. Don't do nothing. So I praying that the show finish in an hour and a half. Or you mean I should move fast? I should do something to try to make sure the show finish in the hour and a half? Well, let me go. First of all, Sunil Narayan, boy, my goodness, I know you're the greatest, the mystery spinner. They try to humbug you when they try to tell you about your pelting and thing. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC and Anil Roberts pay $760,000 for you and Cooper, our national heroes, to go to Australia to fix the action. All you didn't know about that, because that's what UNC does. We care about all the athletes. We pay for athlete surgery and all. And look what Sunil Narayan did yesterday or today. My goodness, 7 overs, 7 maidens, which means 0 runs scored off any ball, 0 runs off, wow, 42 balls, 0 runs, and 7 wickets. 7, 7, 0, 7. Sunil Narayan, I never heard nothing about that. That is absolutely amazing, my brother. Well done to Sunil Narayan. Cement prices to rise again. Food price. Your gas gone up. PNM take that. PNM shut down Petrotrain and all, and the negotiation. Point Lisa shut down. Metal plant shut down. No US pressure. No agricultural policy. Food price up. Medicine price up. Gas price up. They bring in the T&Tech rates up. And they say, well, it's only UNC who fighting against higher rates. Really? So all your PNM, all you're saying, yes, Rowley, please, can we pay more for electricity that we don't get? Yes, Minister of Man, you keep measuring for more suit with Ecliffe Eli. Don't let anybody catch you doing bathroom sports. We want to pay more for water that we don't get. Yes, it's only UNC? Okay, well, call the election, because the last time I checked, the whole country against paying higher rates. WASA clears up huge part of 5,000 leak backlog. Public Utilities Minister showing off some truck and thing they get for flood relief. When they have the disaster, them could work. But we had the disaster and they never work. Lengthy response times to water leaks will reportedly be a thing of the past. This is because WASA says the backlog of more than 5,000 leaks throughout the years has been eradicated. All you want to hear lie? Not that video. That's another time. But just show Diego Martin. Show them. Doubles and coffee, right there in Rowley constituency. They say it had no more leak. Run it. Coming up, don't worry. It's taking long because it had to build the pressure. You know, because this man don't know that leaks break pressure. Archie, pressure does bust pipe. Run it. Eradicated. No, we reach 0 leaks, no leaks in the country, no water in Diego Martin. People all over Diego Martin cannot get water from WASA truck. They're buying water at $700 a truckload for 1,600 gallons. Look at this. Watch this. What is this water? It didn't rain. Hot sun is leak. Watch across here. This is a WASA to show the building. WASA station. And leaking. They say 0 leaks. People bawling. Well, it's not leaking because it has 0 water in the taps. Marvin Gonzalez, you were selected by Rowley because you knew absolutely nothing about WASA. You have learned nothing. And the lowest level of performance in the history of a Minister of Public Utilities. And then you're coming now to raise RIC rates. Look here, another leak. Where the zero leak? We driving across here the intersection. This is not rainwater. This is WASA potable water leak. All by the KFC and ex-PNM man. Listen, no water in Diego Martin. Leak after leak after leak. The PNM is totally incompetent, and then they want to tell you they're coming to charge you more for water and electricity. And to all those PNM, Fitzgerald Hines, who say that the UN protesting RIC electricity rate increase, well, if it's the UNC alone, and it's 99.9% of the population, Fitzgerald Hines, call the election now. Because 99.9% of the population, whether they vote PNM, UNC, independent, they didn't vote, they don't like politics, all of the people are saying no to electricity hike, no to water hike, no to property tax. We suffering, the people suffering, no leak. It a leak all over. Look at Diego Martin, Pity Valley, the constituency of Rowley, the Prime Minister, and Colm Dwayne Imbot, the acting Prime Minister, and the nosebreaker, well, the nobody. That is PNM. Are you ready to vote yet? And on top of that, we see that Brian Manning says Trinidad and Tobago can be a technology hub. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning, says that TNT has the potential to become the hemispheric hub of technology services. Manning was speaking at the official launch of Answer Bank's Digital Touchpoint and Digital Financial Space Initiative at Gulf City Mall in La Romaine. Technology and digitalization are the future of Trinidad and Tobago. May I say one day, and hopefully soon, Trinidad and Tobago. You could move Minister Man, but put the next one because all of them is the same. Minister Manning, Brian Manning mightn't fit there, but don't worry. Yeah, you better leave the Minister Man. He's slimmer. Become this hemispheric hub for technology services. We have the resources, we have the people, we have the infrastructure. Let's get it done together, said Manning. Manning in a government that stopped Kamla laptop program, and our children are now suffering, and we have fallen from the heights of being applauded by the world to being laughed at by the Caribbean. This one talking now that we are ready to move into the digital age with PNM. All you move us back to Abacus. By the way, Manning, you're looking comfortable in this thing, Rowley government, boy. I want to ask you something, because I have a son. I have one son. I love my son. He's going to become a lawyer in June day. He's mashing up. He's doing very well. But let me tell you, son, if a man or any human being do me wickedness like what Rowley do this man, father, and you join with that man to be on a team with that man, to play football with that man, to be in the law firm of that man who work all beyond me to make me sick and kill me, and you playing friend with that man, boy, I will wake up out my grave, take a piece of sugar cane, take a guava whip, and beat you, boy, and I never give you licks. It will be the first time, the last time I will give you licks, my son. Brian Manning explained to me how a son can hobnob and play friend and love up with a man who walk obia and ridicule his father as he was dying. Explain that to me, you weak, no stones. Run it and remind the school for me.
I want to tell her something. I'm from Mason Hall in Tobago. Mason Hall very close to Liquor 2. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Calder Hart and UDCOP. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it.
At any time, Brian Manning, you just explain that to me now. I know you don't have children yet. What happened? Thing operating good? What going on? Yeah? Huh? On? No, not you. I'm talking to Brian Manning. He ain't make no children yet. You understand? I know you may not, I don't think you have children yet. I'm not all up in your business. But if you make a son and a next man put obia and boast and laugh at you while you sick and ailing, and your son goes and praises that man, treats that man like he is some sort of God, some supreme being, how that will make you feel, boy Brian Manning? I don't know. The TNT chamber says government must address forex supply. Really, Trinidad and Tobago chambers? But you're not happy with the government? You're not happy with the PNM? You're not singing the song of the sixpence like the Chaguanas, man? What you name? Air conditioned man? Richie Sukai and them? You want the government to fix forex? But it's the government that created the forex crunch. Is the government's policies that shut down the energy sector. Is the government policy that shut down Petrotrade. Is the government policy that have all you with Alvin Hilaire, a PNM and Rowley neighbor in Hines Gate, in Central Bank, instead of Jawala Rambaran, and now all you're calling for foreign exchange? But Colmibut said, it's not a crisis. And Archie remind them now. But TNT has a foreign exchange shortage, not a crisis. I'm going to leave that right there. So all of you who cannot get US, all of you who go to the bank and they tell you only gain $50 today. A lady who needed $1,500 and told me that she only gained $50 and she wanted to pay some $25,000. I said, lady, no, don't let people take advantage of you like that. If the bank only giving you $50, unfortunately, ma'am, and you need $1,500, go to the bank for 30 days straight and take out your $50. But Imbat said, that's not a crisis. There's a shortage because Imbat and them could get a US. Imbat financiers could get a US. Rowley's businessmen who is go and check cake, plate in price, man, them could get a US. It's a crisis for you, not for the PNM, correct? But who put the PNM there? Just telling you. Check yourself. Judge blasts Attorney General's office for constantly seeking extensions to file defenses. A High Court judge has criticized the Office of the Attorney General for constantly seeking extensions to file defenses to lawsuits brought against the state. Justice Frank Sipasad delivered the critique yesterday as state attorneys sought his approval for an extension of time to file the state's defense to a $12 million lawsuit brought by Archiver Enterprises Limited over services it would have provided to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management. But this man also, who failed, lose a file and lost $20 million, who failed to file in a FIDIC lawsuit in the private sector, who gone and signed affidavit fraught with lies in the States. This man who cost the taxpayers over $64 million from his stupidity in 1 year. He criticizing others. He criticizing the DPP. He attacking the DPP. This PNM. Why, boy? We go deal with that just now. Firefighters respond to 150 bushfires so far. But on the last show, douglAR Politics, we heard the president of the Firemen and Women Association saying they had no appliances, not meaning stove and microwave, you know. No tenders, no truck, no fire truck to go and fight fire in about 7 different areas. But they're fighting 150 bushfire. UNC Senator sues Judicial for copies of checks. UNC Senator Jayanti Lakshmidayal has received a green light from the High Court to pursue a judicial review claim against the refusal of the Urban Development Corporation, UDCOT, to disclose documents she requested in a Freedom of Information application. On Friday, Justice Nadia Kangalu granted Lakshmidayal leave to pursue her claim against UDCOT, while also setting a date for a ruling on the lawsuit. On November 3rd, Kangalu would rule on whether the UNC senator should receive the information. The information Lakshmidayal wants surrounds information she spoke about at a political meeting, which included details relating to youth development and National Service Minister Foster Cummins. Lakshmidayal raised questions over a public entity's payment into the credit union account of a high-ranking public official. She said a check from the public body was also uncovered. But yet Noel Garcia And the PNM trying to hide the check. They're fighting to hide the check. Yes, they have no procurement legislation. They're procuring without procurement. Legalized thieving. And all of a sudden, checks that went into accounts of ministers and senior officials, whether at Venture Credit Union or other bank accounts, the PNM fighting to keep it secret. Because them don't thief. Rowley don't thief. Al-Rawi don't thief. The PNM don't thief. But they spend more money than any government in history, and nothing works. Make the maths. But Jayanti go deal with them. Governments pledge money to help Venezuelans. International News, Newsday, Section A. Caracas, governments and financial institutions pledged millions of dollars Friday for humanitarian and development projects to address the urgent needs of Venezuelans at home and abroad affected by a crisis that diplomats acknowledge requires renewed attention. They send in money, cash, money, Venezuela. Maduro say you want money. The US say no dragon gas, no deal, no cash, no money. Rowley and Small Pin say yeah, we coming. And they sign a secret document, a NDA. So them negotiating on your behalf while trying to hide information on anything and everything, while Rowley is the only confirmed liar as a prime minister in the Commonwealth. They sign an NDA. Ishmael sues Crocro for defamation. Well, Crocro boy, you can't sing. And to all you who talking about art. Art does not mean you could lie on somebody, you could defame somebody. It's the same thing. You feel like I'd come on this show and just lie on Rowley. I never lie on Rowley. Rowley was a teacher in a responsible position, a position of trust, love and respect. And he used that trust, love and respect to groom a little schoolgirl and have sex with her and impregnate her. See? Open, no parliamentary privilege. Rowley sue me now. Oh, oops. You can't sue someone if it's the truth. So if Crocro want to sing the truth, but you must not lie, and all Crocros do is lie. So let him go. If all you vex with people for suing a Calypsonian, Crocro is not a Calypsonian. He is a disgusting racist liar who lies on people. Calypso is a beautiful thing. You ever see anybody sue Stalin? You ever see anybody sue Shadow? You ever see anybody sue Sparrow or Kitchener? Them is Calypsonian. Crocro is a PNM sycophant liar, just like Rowley. So let him, if it's truth, well then he win the case. So what I'm telling you, all you're afraid, look who all you're defending. Crocro, come in, boy.
Come off the phone! You kill people! You kill people! I'm my phone! You can't drive and talk on the phone, you dumb! Fuck you! You the police? All your mother... You will go on the phone again! In my phone! Yeah, go on your phone! It's against the law! It's against the law to drive and be on your phone! You fool! You fool! Hey, man! Wait! Thank God for some people driving a car! Don't mash up the people, man! I driving a 350 Mercedes-Benz! I cook up! Yeah, small car! Yeah!
Yeah, you little small car because you have PNM and a CPEP van because you need PNM to pay you and therefore you're singing nonsense, but it's good for you. So don't talk about art form and so on. That's not art. That's jackass in the scene. Crocro is a total incompetent racist who sings nonsense. Every one of his calypsos is fraught with pure racism and lack of factual basis. From common entrance come right up. Crocro is the epitome of the PNM. Nothing. They beg for little scrums. Only that's what they have. That's the dream they have for black people, to be like Crocro. Please, can I Calypso and CPEP? Right? Express. UE. Facing UE's money crunch. Express editorial. A quick glance at the headlines covering the academic world would show that the funding and enrollment declines between observed at the University of the West Indies and so on are not unique. The Express do an editorial to blame UE for the lack of enrollment because UE's business plan they did not become, they are not able to run their business on their own. They didn't become an independent economic institution. Not that the PNM's priorities are on building nonsense and letting Udicott and Noel Garcia spend money, 131 million on Skinner Park so we can't play football. And they spent, it only valued about 11 million from a quantity surveyor. But let them build our next office to administer the health system, which I just walked in St. Joseph and met one of a senior nurse who was retired and came back. And she working in the nursing system since 1978. And she said the health sector is the worst now that it has ever been since 1978. And 1978 was PNM until 1986. And now she's saying it's the worst ever. But them come to blame UWI's lack of enrollment. Not on the PNM policy of cutting gate. Under Kamala, gate was 726 million in 2014, 59,000 students in academia and tech work with MIC, NESC, COSTAT, UTT across the board. Rowley cut that down to 28,000 students, from 726 million down to 300 million. Cutting investment in future generations. But the Express come to tell we it's UWI fault. That is the sick. That's what I tell you. Stop buying them thing. It is so dishonest. The media is so corrupt. It's not even funny. As I say that, Guardian Media Limited, well, this one is the greatest. If all you never believed me before, that the media is PNM-centric, that they lie, they obfuscate, they print things to pretend that what happened never happened. If you all think that Anil just emotional or you have a vendetta, no, let me read something for you, all right? Archie, you could put up the head of the Answer Makal group, you know, Mr. Sabga, this young man. He said, Anil, you're bad talking me, you don't talk the truth and so on. Listen to this one, sir, as I tell you, Anil will never lie on you. Answer Makal is a great corporation. I'm proud of your business acumen. I love to drink a Carib every now and again, okay? But you cannot change the facts. The Guardian Media Limited is PNM-centered. They print PNM nonsense. They print lies on the UNC, and they continue. So listen, sir, and then you will take more control of your media house so that all of us in Trinidad and Tobago can watch your Guardian media, read your Guardian newspaper, even though it gone down from 17,000 down to about 8,000 papers. And your CNC3 morning Balize brew with Jason Williams, a PNM candidate who lost to Saddam Hussein in Sawa. Don't frighten. When you understand and take a better control, since you say you are not PNM, right? Okay, I believe you. Well, let me make a case here, because you seem to be a man who likes facts. Guardian opinion, Thursday, March 16, editorial, okay? Guardian. Gate, meaning gate, student expenses, right? Due for review, says Guardian. It was not that long ago that this country was experiencing an explosion in enrollments in tertiary level programs, a direct result of the government assistance for tuition gate program, which provided assistance to citizens for undergraduate and postgraduate programs at recognized local and regional institutions. There was a direct impact on students' numbers at the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies, UWI, which increased by 134% in the academic years from 2001 to 2014-2015. The number of graduates from the campus more than doubled during that period, increasing from 1,637 to 3,870. These were measurable results from a policy to make higher education more accessible and affordable in the quest for a larger pool of qualified citizens capable of supporting the country's development and economic agenda. GATE, introduced in 2004 during the tenure of the late Patrick Manning, resulted from the former Prime Minister's vision to make tertiary education available to thousands who would not have been able to afford it. This was in alignment with the goal of developing a highly skilled workforce, part of the Manning administration's Vision 2020. The significant social and economic benefits of having citizens who are more employable and productive should be sufficient motivation to take another look at GATE and any other programs that increase access to degree and diploma programs. The challenges facing the campus are large extent due to the scaling back of GATE in 2020, when the country was facing strained economic circumstances, COVID-19. In a world increasingly driven by competitiveness and innovation, focus must be fixed on increasing access to tertiary training. TNT can't afford to be heading in the opposite direction. It is time, therefore, to take another look at GATE. That's your editorial. Now, sir, let me do an analysis of your editorial based on the facts of the situation. First and foremost, the GATE, the precursor to GATE, was dollar for dollar by Bastio Pandey and the UNC government in the 1995 to 2001 period. Your newspaper just leaves out that part of history, where for the first time in our nation's history, poor people, middle-class people could get half their fees. The government paid half. Yes, in 2004, Patrick Manning increased dollar for dollar to GATE. But then, sir, you see, in 2010 came in a prime minister called Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and her minister of tertiary education, science and tertiary education, the Honorable Fazal Karim. And the UNC government increased GATE, not only for academics, increased it from a 300 million to 726 million high in 2014, increased the enrollment at that time, the percentages of children, students going to tertiary education from 31% to 62% under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, totally ignored and left out of here. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Fazal Karim also included in GATE Tech Voc. So it moved from just academics into MIC, COSTAT, welding, these electrical and so on, different skills, respecting people's talents. So that's what occurred. Then came P&M government of the Guardian media, and from 2016, Rowley immediately cut GATE from 700 million down to 400 million. Not in 2020, not because of COVID. In 2017, go and check the books, go and check the budget. He cut it again. And it moved from a high in 2014, 2015 under Kamla of 59,000 children down in 2019 to 35,000. He then used the excuse of COVID and cut it further down to 300 million, and it's now at 28,000 children per year accessing GATE and diminishing. So, sir, when your newspaper prints lies, reinvents history, ignores Bastio Pandey and Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who was the Minister of Education, then ignores Kamla Prasad Bisesa as Prime Minister, and Fazal Karim in Science and Tertiary Education, and pretends that the P&M is the only existing government, when the UNC has outperformed them on this very GATE academic issue. Fazal Karim and Science and Tertiary also increased campuses across the board. MIC centers 12, NESC centers 8. Rowley came in and closed down those centers. 18 centers in all closed. This Guardian does not say that. So when I tell you that your newspaper is disgusting and dishonest, sir, I don't say it with emotion. I say it based on fact. If I was also to include other levels of education under Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, I could go on for hours. But your newspaper pretends that the P&M is the only government, when the truth is that we are suffering and we are in a mess and we're in a crime spree and we're in the worst situation. SCA students, worst ever. CAPE, worst ever. CSEC, worst ever. MIC, NIC, lowest enrollment. UTT, lowest enrollment. UE, lowest enrollment. Scholarship, lowest number. Brain drain, highest ever. Your newspaper is not printing the truth. So when you want to talk to your boy Anil, no problem. But I come with facts. I not on no emotion. So while I'm proud of Answer Merchant Bank, I'm proud of your profits of 1.6 billion before tax. I applaud you for that. But your Guardian Media Limited is deleterious to the success of our nation. You are not patriotic to have that. And unless you take some control and ensure fairness, nobody wants you to be on which side. Media is not to be on anybody's side. Just be straight, be truthful, and stop printing drivel. That's why Guardian Media profits slide. Increased company spending, blame for decline, not increased company spending. Poor nonsense, poor editorial. The people have woken up and they know that the Guardian has been unmasked. You're putting PNM down in my face. You're putting Balisette juice in the morning. You're trying to be a PNM. That's why you're making no money. Because the half the country and more has turned you off. So don't get vexed with Anil. Right? Guardian Media Limited has recorded a major decline in its profits for 2022. Right? And let me tell you something. You will get another decline in 2023. To all my people who listening here, do not buy this nonsense until they start to act in a professional manner. If I talk about all the lies they printed about Kamla Persad-Bissessar, when they printed a front page that back in 2013, the UNC government, the partnership, had lost $1.3 billion in the OPV arbitration. The truth was that Anand Ramlogan and Kamla Persad-Bissessar won 1.3. We got back we money from BAE because they breached the contract, because the automatic computer firing system of the OPVs was not functioning. Your newspaper never printed a retraction, and it goes on and on and on. So gate due for review. Don't lie. The PNM cut education, cut funding to gate since 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, into COVID 2021, 22 and 23. Our nation is reeling. And now your newspaper said, oh, yes, PNM sucks. But time to review it? No. Time to get rid of them because Kamla was far better. And the facts are there, facts and figures. And for you to eliminate history, try to rewrite a PNM history is rather sad, sir. So please, respond. If you think I lie on you, tell me. Go back and check. Blessings. Cops, human error in missing ammo case. Let's read this. Did 500 rounds of 9mm ammunition seized from a Chaguanas gun dealership in October 2022 go missing? Although police investigations and allegations are still going on, police sources say it appears that there was an error in the notation of how many rounds were actually seized by officers. One source close to the investigation said an officer who was supervising the count of the ammunition incorrectly recorded the amount. Really? So the officer can't count. You know? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, goose. No. Oh, God, no, it have 500. No, 500. No, 500. I miscount by 500. All you give, sell we another tail now. All right? Sell we another tail. Ola, pray to find them 500 bullet. Okay? Say 500 prayer. Call a prayer group. And you pray and do a seance to find them 500 bullet, because plenty people dead in and bullet coming out from everywhere. Okay, Ola, I know Fitzgerald and you went and prayed together. I know you love the PNM. That's okay. They put you there. But one thing I could tell you, prayer does really work. Because you move from 12th to the walk, that will show. In fact, actually, let me say a little prayer. Let me pray for we ratings to move from YouTube and Facebook from about 3,200 in the next 20 minutes. We would like, before I deal with the DPP issues and Nelson Gate, we would like it to go to 4,500. Okay, Archie? Let me pray, because Ola did pray. Because I don't know how it has moved from 12th to 1st after the age of 56. Anyway, let me just move on, yes? Newsday editorial. Time for policy to become law. What is this policy? This month marks 4 years since the National Workplace Policy on Sexual Harassment was tabled in Parliament. To date, however, that groundbreaking policy is yet to be converted into legislation. It is time for that to change. A law outlawing sexual harassment is overdue. So prevalent is this problem that even a former Minister of Labor was herself once a victim in the private sector. Hold on, Newsday. The man who's in charge of the legislative agenda is the Prime Minister and the Attorney General. The man who's in charge of bringing the legislation to outlaw sexual harassment does have sex with the ministers in the cabinet. Does have sex with junior ministers in the cabinet with their wife. He does sexually harass media personnel while doing interview. You now wondering why no sexual harassment law has been tabled by Keith Rowley?
Dr. Maranich.
You really serious? Newsday, you really asking why 4 years later no legislation has been brought by Rowley to outlaw sexual harassment? You really serious, Newsday? All you cannot be real in this country. Eh? Oh, is Trinidad a real place? Selwyn Cujo, Professor Selwyn Cujo. Last Sunday, Terence Farrell, one of our premier public intellectuals, sought to explain why some people say that Trinidad is not a real place. Speaking of the mess in which the Director of Public Prosecutions, Roger Gaspard, found himself when he dismissed the Piarco airport corruption case, Farrell observed that it is these failures that prompt our frustration and give weight to epithets such as Trinidad is not a real place. I am not sure the statement Trinidad is not a real place is an epithet, a term of abuse. It is more a philosophical question about our ontological status in the world that is captured more accurately in the question, is Trinidad a real place? Many philosophers pose their inquiries in the form of questions. Since philosophical ontology is concerned with the study of what is, of the kinds and structures of objects, properties, events, processes, and relations in every realm of reality, when a person asks, is Trinidad a real place? One is asking how we apprehend our social reality and how well we apply our reason to the problems that face us. The Prime Minister's announcement that the government paid millions in rent for a new office that has remained unoccupied for the past 3 years only inflame matters. To these lawyers, it would have made no substantial difference in the DPP's position even if the government spent 100 million on the new office. They understood there is no causal connection between the two issues and that correlation does not imply causation. Sophia Choate, president of the Law Association, pointed out the psychological dissociation in the Prime Minister's remarks. She said, there have been commitments given by the former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi that they had accepted the police recommendations that this building had to be fitted out with security features because a prosecutor was murdered or killed while prosecuting a high-profile matter. Prosecutors cannot overlook the security aspect of this matter if we are to be serious about crime fighting at all in this country. So, Father Gordon, I would like to humbly suggest that you read Professor Selwyn Cujo and you rethink how you bullied your parishioners a few weeks ago to buff them into saying during Lent, we must not bad talk our country, that we have a sickness now about bad talking. We don't bad talk our country. We find the leaders who have stolen the election, who are there based on a mass media that is corrupt, that plays games and does not print the truth, that they are not leading well, and our country is fraught with problems, bad service, corruption, procurement without procurement legislation, ridiculous crime situation, inability to act or solve any problem. We can't even fathom thinking of a forward-thinking policy coming out of the PNM. They cannot even do run-of-the-mill things. So it's the leadership. So, Father Gordon, I recommend a read for you from the column of Selwyn Cujo in the Sunday Express today. Take a little read, okay, Father Gordon? Now, after the Express, I had to read the Newsday. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to whatever you have, you know. If you're eating popcorn, hold on to it. If you're eating a night doubles, hold it good. Don't shake your hand. The channel will fall off the paper. Newsday, first and foremost, Vincent Nelson, King's Counsel. Vincent Nelson, Al-Rawi, Kewal Singh, Rowley. These people, Vincent Nelson wants the DPP to overturn his conviction. In the interest of justice, he wrote a 36-page letter on March 15, 2023. And let me tell you something, the Newsday got this. Not from the UNC, eh? I can tell you Faris Al-Rawi, a tight pants, and hi guys, the UNC couldn't have gotten this letter. Somebody in the PNM trying to slow burn you, Al-Rawi, Johnny Sukaran. They're trying to get you out slowly, smoothly. They're trying to get rid of you. They move you from AG. They make you Minister Puya. They tell you could do fixed road. They take away that quietly. And now they're leaking things to the media, their media, to bust your throat. I mean, your throat deserves to be politically bust. But it's your own PNM brethren doing that. Eh? It's not Anil. Anil just reading the Newsday. So, this gentleman Nelson said that the DPP had a duty to disclose the fact that he had an indemnity with Al-Rawi. Nelson, King's Counsel, Gaspard is on record as saying he didn't know nothing about that. He had nothing to do with that. He dealt with criminal matters. He didn't know and he was not alerted about any negotiation, illegal, legal or otherwise, of any negotiation with you, Al-Rawi, Kewal Singh, Rowley, whoever, that PNM business. Gaspard say he ain't know about that. So don't say he ought to have known. You ought to have known. You was discussing with liars. You were discussing with men who would sell two Porsche, come in the parliament and lie and call a different number and don't transfer. You were discussing and you were being represented by people who don't write $600,000 check and man who don't declare in their form that it's two Porsche that they sell for 1.2 million and playing games. You didn't know you was dealing with liars. Police, you was dealing with, police coming by Archie. You was dealing with this. You was dealing with Rowley, the email gate liar. You now realize that? Days before his decision, Gaspard told Newsday the only discussion or agreement he had with Nelson was the plea deal that was in place. The plea deal had to deal with the criminal matter only, nothing to do with no indemnity. He said he would not have been privy to any discussions which would have taken place on the criminal investigations until the criminal investigations were conducted. Asked about the purported, and the Newsday was still saying purported, indemnity all over, Al-Rawi signature all over it. Al-Rawi cannot do that without the Prime Minister approval. All of that there in the Newsday hand, but they're still balling purported. We go show it just now. Asked about the purported indemnity, Gaspard referred Newsday to the Attorney General, saying he was not privy to any discussions. Those may relate to civil matters, since the Attorney General has no purview with criminal matters, he said. Later on in the article in Newsday, his letter to the DPP, Nelson said, the concealing of evidence went beyond the safety of a conviction and the acceptance of a plea agreement that formed the evidential foundation. What might well have been a politically motivated prosecution. You now wake up, Nelson, like the chemotherapy had you sleeping and tired. You now wake up knowing that you were part and parcel of a political persecution by these players, including your own boys, who was negotiating with the friend, Porsche man, Porsche 1 and Porsche 2. You now realize that? That may have been political persecution. That is the PNM way. Now hear this part. It also said, even after his conviction and the discontinuance of the case against former AG Anand Ramlogan and ex-UNC Senator Gerald Ramdeen, the improper threats and inducements have continued. Improper threats and inducements have continued, says this King's Counsel. And I ask you, and the 4,500, because Archie, my prayers work, did we go up a bit, up to 4,500 live now? I ask you all, who is still giving inducements and who could be threatening this man? Alleged threats. Let's continue in the news day. 10 days after the shock announcement by the DPP that Nelson claims he was threatened that if he did not give evidence at a new trial for the government would involve the UK white-collar crime agency, NCA, to prosecute him. Okay, so 10 days after Gaspard said, when this indemnity came out and so on, and realized this man is testifying because the government, Al-Rawi and Rowley and them, renege on his illegal indemnity, the indemnity that them tell he illegal. We will read it out just now. But these fellas now going to defend the lawsuit again that he bring. You know what these fellas say? What we negotiated with him was illegal. So their defense is that they are illegal liars who negotiated in bad faith an illegal document, overstepping the bounds of the Constitution with this man. So this man suing for 96 million, and their defense is, we was illegal, we acted illegally, we are criminals. That is their defense. And you know when them lost, you know who going to have to pay the 96 million? The 4,500 of you live there. 10 days after the shock announcement by the DPP. So when the shock announcement, that shocked them, not people who following, because these people are pathological. The PNM was in government. Rowley was the prime minister. He chose the attorney general. So the government is the PNM. I want all to be clear now. Because this man saying that 10 days after the shock announcement by the DPP, Nelson claims he was threatened that if he did not give evidence at a new trial of the two, meaning Ramlogan and Ramdeen, the government would involve the UK white-collar crime investigative agency, NCA, to prosecute him. Ola, come girl, stand up, stop praying, Ola. You're having to investigate. If the government is threatening a witness, threatening, look at here, not Daniel, the PNM Newsday, a PNM leaked this to the Newsday, this letter by Nelson. Government officials are threatening this man that if he don't give evidence against Ramlogan and Ramdeen in the next trial, that they will send the information about him, his nefarious activities down here with them to the UK. Ola, you hear? Not Daniel say, wake up, Ola, say a prayer and go and investigate. Quick, girl, quick. Wow. If y'all think that was bad, it gets worse. Let me go to the Newsday now again. The 11 alleged promises made to Nelson. Now, Newsday is such a PNM paper. These are not alleged Newsday. Archie put up the indemnity agreement. This indemnity agreement has been confirmed by Faris Al-Rawi that he, right, look at it, to Vincent Nelson and all the thing, in consideration, move it up, right, and go all, just flash it, let people see. This is the indemnity. You go up slowly, let people see it. This is the actual indemnity signed, approved confirmed by Faris Al-Rawi, his signature. Rowley and his government claimed, and they admitted that this, go to the next page, this indemnity was signed. Rowley was giving me example from 1972 about the state prosecuted and turning witness, signed by the Honorable Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi, signed by Vincent Nelson, who was QC then and is now King KC. Come back to me. So, Newsday is nothing alleged. It is factual, black and white, signed by this clown here, the now Minister of Puya with no road to fix, and approved by this bald-head fool on the top, that lying fool called Rowley, who you all telling people to call Prime Minister and bawling about who respect you. Fire burn you, Rowley, you disrespectful numbskull. Well, let's read. So take out the word alleged. The 11 promises made to Nelson, printed in the Newsday. All you go online and read it. Don't buy the paper, because this is the damn Newsday who have the people, these fools in government. The promises, according to Nelson, are contained in the indemnity agreement between himself and Al-Rawi on behalf of the government. The state made promises to Mr. Nelson to induce him to enter into the indemnity. The promises were relied upon by Mr. Nelson. The promises made to Mr. Nelson pursuant to the indemnity have been discharged by him, while the state has now expressly reneged on the promises that were made on its behalf. Look, the bush lawyer telling all you, this miscreant here, this senior counsel prostitute who should have been sitting down on the couch with Rowley and Boudet, this one who whatever you pay him, he will tell you I wearing a blue jersey right now with pink polka dots. This legal hoe is going to win the case, because these idiots are so dishonest, so stupid, putting their signature on behalf of you, the people, because you all elected this bag of clowns with a corrupt EBC, and this one running down in San Fernando West to the EBC with a set of envelope and then saying it wasn't he, as if it have two fools who does wear tight clothes like that and say, hey guys, this clown is going to win. Record that and keep it for 4 or 5 years. 100 million of your money because of these fools. Just remember the bush lawyer tell all of that. Let me continue. It is the state's defense of the 96 million civil claim by Nelson that the indemnity agreement was illegal as being against public policy to agree not to disclose Nelson's notarized statement to law enforcement bodies. The state also contends it would be illegal, contrary to public policy, and unenforceable to compensate him for any damage. Put up the indemnity, Archie, put it back up there. Did you all understand? I might have read a little fast. Did you all understand what the state is saying? Do you understand that the state is Al-Rawi, Lima, Rowley, the PNM? The PNM is saying that what Al-Rawi signed, sealed, and delivered here with Vincent Nelson is illegal and against public policy. But them is the state. Right? Let me find the place. Wait, go back and let me find the part when they say that it would be illegal to agree not to disclose Nelson's notarized statement to law enforcement bodies. They have it there. Right. The notarized statement or any part thereof will not be disseminated and or released into the public domain, whether in writing or orally, agreed to by the PNM. The notarized statement will not be disseminated or released and or disclosed in a parliamentary debate, agreed and signed by the PNM. Your name and or information by which you may be identified, move that thing, Archie, as the person who provides the information contained in the notarized statement will not be disclosed to the public and or in parliament or any parliamentary whatever. PNM agreed to that. The notarized statement will be disclosed to the Director of Public Prosecution and the Anti-Corruption Investigating Bureau, but subject to the Attorney General's duty to comply with all laws and statutory enactments, will not be disclosed to any criminal investigatory and or prosecuting authority, tax enforcement authority, and or regulatory and or disciplinary authority outside the territory of Trinidad and Tobago. Come back to me. Rowley, Al-Rawi, the PNM signed that, negotiated that with this legal prostitute. Signed it on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM is the government. The PNM is the state. The PNM makes public policy. And now, in defense of the case that this man brought against them, which is the state, they are saying that what they signed, what Al-Rawi signed on behalf of the PNM government, the cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, was illegal. Don't laugh and choke, you know. Anil is not making up this, you know. Go online and read your Newsday, page 8. Okay? That is Al-Rawi's signature right there. They continued. This, the letter said, was heightened by what was described as the DPP's one-sided presentation to Malcolm Holdit and so on. The letter said the DPP's statement to the court gave the impression the evidence Nelson provided was because of police investigation. They go on to the whole thing because Nelson has to be a confused soul. Because Nelson obviously did not understand that the DPP is a totally independent office. And no politician, no government, no AG, no prime minister, no cabinet can tell the DPP what to do. But this fool talking to those fools, confused. Maybe they lied to him and he believed, well then he's a dunce to believe this bag of liars. So he thinking that the DPP knew all the time about what these were doing. The DPP said, no. I know nothing of that. According to the letter, the DPP would have known about the 11 promises. No. The alleged promises, no Newsday, the promises. Promise number 1, that on October 5th, 2017, former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi informed Nelson's former attorney, Roger Posh K. Walsing, that if Nelson gave a notarized statement against former UNC politicians Anand Ramlogan SC and Gerald Ramdeen, he, Al-Rawi, would ensure that Nelson was paid for work he did for the government. Listen very carefully, you know. The period for payment, the letter said, covered 2010 to 2013 and February to December 2018. Nelson received 11 million in outstanding legal fees from the state over a year before he agreed to serve as its main witness in legal fee kickback corruption. Nelson was paid by Al-Rawi PNM Rowley's cabinet $10.230 million between 2017 and 2018 and $768,718.50 between 2018 and 2019. He had sued the state in 2016 for fees owed. On October 6, 2017, Faris Al-Rawi was Attorney General. Justice Ricky Rahim dismissed the AG's application to strike out Nelson's lawsuit. He said the issues raised in the lawsuit needed to go to trial. The AG's office appealed Rahim's ruling, but it was subsequently withdrawn. So the PNM Attorney General office lost the case. They appealed it to fight against this one, right? He was fighting to get his money owed to him that they weren't paying. They were holding and pressurizing and not paying him. So he went to court to try and get his money. He won. They appealed. Then they withdraw the appeal. Take it out of court. Follow carefully, you know. But it was subsequently withdrawn before it was heard by the Court of Appeal. On May 2nd, 2019, Nelson, Ramlogan, and Ramdeen were slapped with 3 corruption charges. And Nelson, after this one withdrew the case, was paid his full amount of fees that he was suing for, $10.23 million, by the PNM government, approved by the bald-head Prime Minister and his cabinet. Matters extremely difficult. This is a letter, in the letter continued, that matters extremely difficult for Nelson, both financially and personally, as at this point in time, Nelson was not working and was suffering from cancer, which was deemed significant by the consulting doctor. So while they holding him and squeezing his cojones, squeezing his testicles, these fellas, this man, already weak of character, was dying of cancer and receiving treatment. He was not working and was desperate for money to pay his medical bills. He wasn't earning any money. And these fellas were pulling strings to get UNC, get indemnity, say. And he would say anything because he is saying he was desperate. Not Anil, you know. He writing this in his 36-page letter. Promise number 2. The second alleged promise was set out in a letter that was notarized statement would only be disclosed to the DPP and the ACIB, but not to any criminal investigatory or prosecuting body. I showed you all that on the indemnity. Promise number 3. It was alleged that Al-Rawi undertook, as part of the indemnity agreement, to recommend to the DPP that no criminal proceedings will commence against Nelson. That in itself, only a PNM under Rowley could ever think that that is a possibility, that that is something that could be legitimate, that they could actually do that, because Rowley has decimated all independent institutions and they control all. They tell the Commissioner of Police, who moved from 12 to, first one moved from 6 to gold medal, then now 12 to gold medal. Them just tell them who to investigate, who to give gun to, how to stop FUL, who to go after, who to run down, who to charge. But the man, the one last piece, who's standing firm, and I don't have no brief for he, because if you ask me before this, I would have said he does lean PNM on my analysis of the situations over the years. But the one last man who has some professional integrity is Roger Gaspard and the DPP, who will not be told what to do. Al-Rawi and Rowley put in a document that they, as Attorney General and the government, will talk to the DPP and tell him not to charge this one. These people are insane. But you have allowed them, Media Express, Newsday, Guardian, CNC3, TV6, 13 PNM radio stations, you have allowed these people to be insane. Promise number 4, the DPP was told that the former Attorney General recommended to him, which is Al-Rawi recommended to him, on diverse occasions in 2018, that he should not prosecute Nelson. It is inconceivable that Mr. Nelson would have executed the indemnity if he had not been given this assurance. The letter said Al-Rawi, in a sworn statement in the criminal proceedings against Ram Logan and Ramdeen, that the indemnity and his notarized statement were disclosed to the DPP and its contents were known to him. Well, somebody lying. Because Nelson says that on court record, Al-Rawi signed. Now remember, Limo signed and lie up in the States. Al-Rawi signed that Gaspard knew. That is the crux of the matter. Gaspard said, me I know nothing about what these miscreants talking about. Al-Rawi said, according to Vincent Nelson letter, that Roger Gaspard, the DPP, knew every step of the way. Gaspard said, don't talk no nonsense, I don't know nothing about that. The only time I know anything is when it's criminal proceeding, which is my job under the Constitution, my office. That's all I know. You, the people, have to decide who all you're going to believe. This man or this man who say Malcolm Jones, oh Lord, you go get your money. Then them come in, he said, nah man, write a paragraph, or you go believe this man. You decide, you know. Because both can be true. However, Mr. Nelson was made to believe that the only way he could obtain the sums owed to him in a timely manner so that he could access medical attention was by providing what was demanded, as pursuing the matter in High Court did not guarantee timely receipt of funds or at all. The letter said the government knew that Nelson was anxious. This is the government, Al-Rawi and Rowley. The Prime Minister and the Attorney General, the Cabinet, the PNM government this man is talking about. The letter said the government knew that Nelson was anxious not to prolong matters. Well, that must be because he's sick, cancer, thinking he dead in, can't get work, not making no revenue now, and them holding possibility of his work money that is owed to him, them holding it, so they have him by the short, the curlies, and all other else. The government was anxious to prolong matters because of his ill health and his financial position, and had no realistic option but to comply with his request. The letter maintains that these were used to coerce and or induce Mr. Nelson into making the statement, into providing a statement against UNC politicians. Persecution or prosecution? Persecution, Rowley, Kamala Lai. Oh my goodness. The letter maintains that these were used to coerce and or induce Mr. Nelson into making the statement and extract information concerning Ramdean and Ramlogan. Without these assurances, promises 1 to 4, Mr. Nelson would never have provided a notarized statement or the confidential information. The indemnity agreement was executed in November 2017, and Nelson's statement was given on October 26, 2017, and notarized by John Jeffrey of Stamford, UK. And all of a sudden, it ain't done there, no? All of a sudden now, there is an all-out PNM attack on one man and one man alone, Roger Gaspard, the DPP. All-out attack on this man now. Now remember, anti-gang legislation passed by the PNM, even though they ain't charge one gang leader or anybody of it, it says that a gang consists of 3 or more people getting together to do criminal activities. Criminal activities include misbehavior in public office, inducement, bribery, perverting the course of justice. So if 3 or more of them colluded to do any such thing, some of them in the previous picture could be charged under the anti-gang legislation. Pressure mounts on the DPP, says the Sunday Guardian. And then all of a sudden, and this is the dangerous part, as you all could see, I slow down and I soften my voice. That is to tell you how serious what I'm going to talk about here now is. Remember, I came out of the womb of an attorney, one of the best ever, my mother. I was put in there by a solicitor and an attorney at law, one of the best ever, Anil Roberts. 2 other fellas who shared the womb with me. The older one, Oxford, Harvard Law. The younger one, brilliant attorney of 20 years, standing and counting. My son, their grandchild, lawyer in June. My sister, lawyer specializing in marine law, which is one of the hardest and most sought after. So when I say that I grew up around law, the legal profession, the judiciary, our whole lives were entwined around that. And respect for judges, for the judiciary, the Chief Justice, the independence of the court, magistrates court, all of these things are ingrained in my very DNA and my fiber. So what I am about to talk about and discuss, I never envisaged or fathomed that I would ever be in any position so to do. The Chief Justice comes out and printed in the PNM media with gusto, with luster, with love. The Chief Justice comes out and says, Gaspard responsible for staff shortage. Blame the DPP. Now, first of all, Honorable Chief Justice, absolutely not on. You know that better than I can ever know that. Coming out with a public statement to attack, criticize, chastise a member of the judicial fraternity and independent office holder is just not on at any time. Because public confidence in these offices, the only thing that could hold our dying country together, the only thing that before your statement was saving us from total anarchy and political oppression and tyranny was the judiciary. Because it may move slow, but truth normally prevails in a high percentage of times in the judiciary of Trinidad and Tobago. So while all other independent institutions are tainted with the Balisay brush, and tomorrow President's house is painted in Balisay red and yellow, the one place that citizens could feel some sort of comfort that if they argue their facts and they put forward their case, they can get a fair hearing is the judiciary. And you know better than me, Honorable Chief Justice, that what you did was wrong, that it was uncalled for, it's inappropriate, it's nonsensical. It brings the judiciary, the office of the DPP, the judicial system into disrepute and should never, ever have happened. The mere fact that I have the statement from you, words like this, criticizing and attacking another independent constitutional office is totally inappropriate, and you know that better than me. I cannot even pretend to understand why. Why would you? Why did you? What is going on? Why? It is not on. And I am not even an attorney who went to be called by the bar and put a bag and robe and all of that. Because me, I couldn't say yes, my lord. When my lord is wrong, I would have get pelt in jail for contempt. I tell my mother, I can't do that. Bless her soul. But even when judge is wrong, talking nonsense, analyzing, not listening, she had to say, yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. Not the douglAR. The douglAR would have said, fire burn you, my lord, and you and all you would have said, go in jail, contempt of court. So I come out, I went and coach people, children, win Olympic medal, world record, Pan Am gold, that's what I went and do. But even I know that this, before I even go into what you said, the mere fact that you did this is not on, sir. You know that. This is horrendous. This is terrible. This goes against all your brilliance, all your training, all your education, all your integrity, all that you know to reach where you reach. You know that better than I do. And I don't know why. Why, sir? Why? And just to show you, sir, that what you did was now jump into the realm of politics and bring the judiciary into disrepute, disregard, odium. Look at the PNM Express one time. You know, when you jump into politics, you could always tell by one of these mass media newspapers. Listen to the PNM Express editorial today. After, you know, I know, and anybody in a legal profession who took a course even will know that this wrong. This is wrong. Call in. All you do, all your thing. All your cuss and shout indoors in a sealed room like here in Atlantic with padding and things so nobody could hear. You and the DPP go and trash it out. But this, no. But look how you know when you was wrong. When the Express and the PNM support you, you know what you did was wrong. The PNM lies on affidavit. The PNM does not file defenses and lose 20 million. The PNM lies and say file loss. The PNM signs indemnity with a witness in a criminal squeezing and pressuring to bring evidence against political opponents, and now have the country up to 100 million. The PNM withdraws lawsuits against those who stole money, 98 million pounds. That's PNM. So when PNM agree with you, sir, you know you're wrong. Here the Sunday Express, 19 March, ball in DPP's court. The 10-page rebuttal by the Chief Justice. Rebuttal. See how they back it. You didn't even rebut, sir, because I'll go into it. Because you talk about all sorts of things other than the issue, which is, the main issue is the staff shortage. That way back in 2014, under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, after deep evaluation by experts on the needs of the DPP office, by independent experts, then brought to cabinet and approved the org structure to have an independent, efficient DPP's office. A number of positions were identified not by politicians, by experts in HR, understanding and studying the job necessities, the workload, safety, security, remuneration, and so on. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa passed that. And up to now, the PNM has not implemented that in any form or fashion. And the DPP's office is down at 35% of the quota that is required. But the Express says that you rebutted the Gaspard. Gaspard didn't say anything or attack the Chief Justice in any form or fashion. He didn't make any or cast any aspersions on you or your office or any way. He stated facts. We are understaffed. We need under pressure. Man have 120 cases per, and we have no different position. We need plenty. We don't have funding. That's all the man said. But you, Express, come to say that you rebutted somebody who didn't attack you. Okay. The Chief Justice, in response to the Director of Public Prosecutions' complaint about a shortage of lawyers at his office, is a studied and tempered response that alters the confrontational tone that was developing between the office of the DPP and the executive. Well, if they read this and they find this not confrontational nor argumentative, then something is wrong with the Express. Because let me go into this here now. The detailed statement by Chief Justice Ivor Archie has lifted the issue above the unproductive combativeness of both the Prime Minister and the AG. Well, yes, that might be the only truth. That you didn't go down as far in the gutter as Rowley and Limor, but I would not expect a man of your ilk to do so. In a statement posted on the Judiciary's Facebook page and website, first and foremost, Sir, Honorable Chief Justice, for you to post something on Facebook, that alone should tell you something wrong. He felt constrained to speak out at this time to address what he called the misconceptions that are circulating in the public domain regarding criminal justice. No, you don't have to, you're not constrained to respond to nothing. You are your work to do. You have to do your meetings. We need to have confidence in all of this that's going on. So I don't know what constrained you to respond. What motivated you? What you're so passionate about to breach all the principles of propriety, decorum, and proper protocol. I don't know what. The Chief Justice said, with regard to internal promotions, so far as the filling of recent vacated offices is concerned, and you talk about on December 1st, 2022, April 28, 2022, July 29, 2022, nothing the DPP said was about this year, this in 1 year. This has been going, this is a statement, this is 8 years understaffed, and it's being exacerbated to the point that the criminal justice system is grinding to a halt because the PNM has not resourced and given the funding and the allocation to the DPP's office to fill salaried positions. And the JLSC, well, you jump in the thing of which you are in charge, has not, because you cannot approve positions if you're not going to get money. You know that, Chief Justice. So if the PNM is not giving you, if you need $90 million to hire 100 attorneys for the year, 90 million per year, and the PNM cabinet on a rowdy tell you fire burn you, we not giving you that, then you cannot go as the JLSC and go and advertise and interview and hire 100 attorneys. You would not be sane. They would put you in sane hands. So the problem is that Keith Rowley and his government, the Attorney General's office, the PNM government is not allocating resources to the judiciary in order to fulfill and fill out all of the HR categories. That's the truth. But the Chief Justice come to talk about a few promotion here and there. That those could be correct. Me ain't getting into that. But that was not the issue. But the Express say you rebutted. Gaspar did not only make the point about senior. They talk about 2 lawyers here and 2 promotions and so on. But the point further is that your court was so understaffed and magistrates and so on that you would grab those with experience and the preponderance of them would come from the DPP office. And when they go up, so it have gap down below. So it's a constant thing. But the main issue is the overall staffing. What lawyers in the DPP office. So the Honorable Chief Justice talking about staffing levels. The Chief Justice also rubbished suggestion by the DPP that he requires at least 150 attorneys to man the criminal courts, saying that when one considers the number of courts and judges, it's simply not workable. I cannot say that I am at all convinced, and so I must express concern at the insistence by the DPP on this level of staffing before agreeing to move forward. I must also admit that I am at a loss to see the need for a ratio of more than 3 prosecutors to a judge. First and foremost, Honorable Chief Justice, it's not the DPP's opinion. The DPP didn't just come and say, oh, I need 150. In 2014, the government of the day, Kamala Prasad Bisessa's government, Anand Ramlogan, Attorney General, hired experts in the HR field, hired experts in organization, in structure, in numbers, in judicial responses, in outfitting and filling out HR for the workload. They analyzed the workload. They projected increases in the workload. They did an in-depth analysis of professionals on the need for human resource at the DPP's office. This was paid for by Kamala Prasad Bisessa from taxpayers' money. The experts gave that number. Not Roger Gaspard, not the DPP. He had nothing to do with that. So I'm not understanding, one, what it's all talking about. And number 2, sir, what expert analysis did you do? Did you hire HR experts? Is that part of your expertise? Are you qualified? Did you do an in-depth analysis of the functioning of the DPP, the times, the hours, the quality, the work, the research, and so on, before you gave us your opinion? Or did you just throw out an opinion without any expert numbers, without paying anybody to do an in-depth analysis? If you did that, sir, man, that's wrong. Could someone come in your court with that kind of nonsense and make a case? No, sir, they could not. So I'm deeply disturbed by these assertions. We live in a country, you are in charge of a system that is required facts, numbers, expert. Give us that. If you want to tell me that the DPP, not the DPP, that the analysis done by the experts in 2014 for the org structure of the DPP office is wrong and it's heavily weighted, too much HR, then show me in the Express your study paid for by the judiciary of experts, whether international, local, in human resource, stating that 150 is not necessary, we need 75. Without that, you have just entered the fray with rumor, nonsense, accusations, and you have belittled your office because you have said, you rubbished the suggestion by the DPP that he requires at least 150 attorneys to man the criminal courts, saying that when one considers the number of courts and judges, it's simply not workable. That's not enough. You could consider courts and judges. That's whatever you say. That's not scientific. That's like me coming to say, I coaching an athlete, hey boy, you're looking good, you're looking fit. Me I know what you're doing in the gym. Me I know what time you're holding in your practice, how much yards you do, but you go win an Olympic gold medal. They will put me in St. Dan's and give me blue tablet each evening. You then say, I cannot say that I am at all convinced, and so I must express my concern in the insistence. So it's a lot of I. You know what is the solution to I? We. You're in charge of a judicial team and you come out, I don't know why, to attack an independent office holder. For what purpose? Don't you have the goal to get the judicial system moving, to get cases going, to impact the crime situation in our beloved country, to make sure that these murderers out there, when they charge, the police could get through quickly and man cases could, and then those who are innocent, those stay on remand for 10, 12, 15 years. Isn't that your objective? Isn't that the objective of Gaspard and the DPP? Isn't that a team? So how this come? Whose team are you on? I don't understand. Help me. I really don't. The Honorable Chief Justice said, I must also admit that I'm at a loss to see the need for a ratio of more than 3 prosecutors to a judge. Please explain to us why you utilize that criteria and that ratio. Because all the experts that I saw and researched, they don't utilize that ratio alone. About 1 judge, 3 prosecutors to 1 judge. It depends how much caseload. We are hearing that your judges are overworked too. So if your judges are overworked, and you have 1 judge to 3 prosecutors, you are saying, if a judge is overworked, a normal judge might only have 20 cases. Our judges may have 50. I'm just talking, giving examples. So to use a statistic about ratio of judge to prosecutor makes no sense. It has to be done on a scientific basis. Now, if you want to come with that, well, print that. Let me read it, because I'm disappointed in the case you're making here to attack the DPP. I have expressed a view that it is a matter of management, of assignment systems, and of scheduling. That's easy to say. Are you in charge of the DPP's office? How many hours have you spent there? How many hours, how much have you done? How much have you seen? How many cases each person has done? What is your analysis and your time? From what I realize, the Chief Justice does not go to the DPP office. The Chief Justice spends no time there. So how can you have such a strong opinion about management or lack thereof? That sounds very emotive. That sounds like an emotional statement. I am a logical person. I want facts. Right now you could see the pain on my face. I can't believe what I am reading here printed in the Express, and the Express praising you and mama guying you for this. And all I'm asking you is why? What? Why? Why would you do that? Justice, and they even calling you Archie. Chief Justice Archie posited that in order to avoid the appearance of bias or of engaging combatively with stakeholders, the judiciary is often obliged to take criticism, whether justified or not, and to exercise forbearance while erroneous information circulates, hoping and trusting that other persons or agencies who also have the responsibility to educate the public and ensure the democracy speak out. That's correct. So why did you speak out? What was so egregious now? What was so painful? What attack was on you over and above what you are saying, that you had forbearance over the years and that is part of your job and your prescription? What was so emotive? What was so overbearing that forced you to embarrass yourself, the judiciary, our country? What was so? I don't understand. It is most unfortunate, therefore, that it has come to a stage at which, as Chief Justice, I must speak. Sir, no, you must not speak. You should have stayed very quiet. I'm going to check the time there. 9 o'clock, boy. We're going a little overtime. Hot mess concerns the criminal concerns that criminal justice system could be undermined. Okay? Let's hear this now. Israel Khan, senior counsel. Israel Khan felt that it is very unfortunate that the Chief Justice jumped into the issue at this point in time and chose to do it in the way he did it. The country will always be skeptical of what the CJ has to say in relation to matters like this. I don't normally agree with Israel Khan. He's a very independent-minded person. On this occasion, I agree with him 100%. But then now you see what happens when you jump out like that. You give people the opportunity to say this. Because he is obligated to the Prime Minister, this is Israel Khan, for not triggering Section 137 in order to ascertain whether he misbehaved in public office. So he's obliged, or he's obligated to the PM, you see? Chief Justice, you give people an opportunity to surmise. I won't surmise on your mens rea, but I am just confused. Hamid Ghani says, Professor Hamid Ghani, who specializes in constitutional affairs and parliamentary studies, said the Chief Justice should not have intervened in this impasse between the Attorney General and the Director of Public Prosecutions. His intervention has now made a very strong case for separating the two roles of Chief Justice, namely as a jurist and as a head of Judicial and Legal Service Commission. He is speaking in his capacity as chair of the JLSC, and he should have exercised better judgment than to go public on a matter that now requires more light than heart by adding his own heat. He felt it is more than curious that all of a sudden the DPP is taking so much public heat from the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Chief Justice ever since he discontinued the charges in Piaco 3 case, even though those public comments by the PM and the AG and the CJ are all unconnected to that case. Om Lala, attorney at law. Once public offices that are meant to be independent, the Judiciary and the DPP's office are in any way interfered with, even if it's the perception of that discontent, where that discontent comes up in the public domain, it's dangerous. These offices should always be allowed, at least in the public's eyes, to be maintained without any perception of interference. Avery Sinanan, senior counsel, he said, Mr. Gaspard has a reputation for being very straightforward. I don't think he will be shilly-shally in terms of his complaints, and I think that really what needs to be done is for a proper investigation to take place to determine the facts. I think the time has come to go back to basics and appoint a committee to look at it from all sides and see how best the criminal justice system can be harnessed. Now I'm going to the Guardian editorial. Excuse me 1 second. Sahara dust. But going long, don't worry. Now look at the nonsense. And Mr. Sabga, here comes your Guardian again. We put you up earlier. You say, Anil, this makeup thing. Let me show you, because I'm not making it up, Mr. Sabga. Okay, my brother? In this critical, serious issue, attack on the mashing up the final pillar holding up our beleaguered country. Here comes your Guardian, Sunday, March 19, 2023 today. Leadership and management. It is simply unacceptable that the justice system should be threatened by staff shortages, which the JLSC seems either incapable or unwilling to fill 9 years after the positions were first agreed upon. It would be unconscionable to even contemplate the possibility that personality differences might be a factor in this regard. If this possibility were not sufficiently frightening, the Prime Minister compounded the imbroglio by saying that the DPP's office had chosen not to occupy designated rental space, thus costing the government millions. No, leave up Mr. Sabga, because I put him there when his newspaper talked nonsense and politics. But so far, sir, see, so far the analysis is based on fact. So that is a point, a checkpoint. Good. Very good. So don't feel Anil is unfair. You see this, let's continue. I don't know if they continue correct, but give Jack the jacket. That is fair analysis. See, I don't need them to be on my side or one side or the other side. We just need read a book, talk facts, present facts, tell the truth, don't rewrite history. That's all we want from a newspaper. So far, so good. Since buildings do not prosecute cases, the Prime Minister has not addressed the substantive staffing issues in the DPP's office. Therefore, his comments can only be considered as an attempt to undermine the credibility of the DPP. But to what purpose? How did the Prime Minister's invective advance crime fighting? Furthermore, the DPP's office is a constitutional position above the political fray, not a political opponent. Facts, truth, constitutionality, analysis, correct. Not content with the public relations disaster of the missing file and his clumsy attempt to avoid responsibility for the obvious systemic weaknesses implied by the many default judgments by departments under his control, the Attorney General made a bad situation worse by publicly summoning the DPP. The Attorney General implied a rebuke, a senior to his junior. The DPP staff responded by widening the issue. As if these events were not sufficient cause for concern, the newly appointed commissioner added to the rot. Perhaps the enormity of the COP's promise to reduce the crime rate by June had registered, and she now invoked divine intervention to reduce the murder rate. Whilst we would expect God on her side, we also expect that she would take appropriate action. Pobak Sabga, you see what I'm saying? Sense, and very important, linking the issues in our governance and our structure. But this is not the norm. Your newspaper allows Rowley to impact the president, the former chairperson of the Police Service Commission, and impact the selection of the Commissioner of Police. Your newspaper is going to praise tomorrow Kangaloo PNM being president. How can you not continue on this intelligent analysis without emotion, without partisanship? So I'm telling you, sir, you see, this is good. So don't say Anil only pong in here. This is good. The nation faces difficult challenges requiring a mature, considered approach from office holders to achieve successful outcomes. The country cannot afford either a justice system compromised by petty personal differences or a political directorate that forgets the limit of its authority. Intelligent leadership and diligent, competent management are required if the ship of state is to stay afloat and on course for a brighter shore. But the ship of state has sunk because your newspaper, this is not the norm. This is true journalism based on fact, not playing games. So, sir, if you want to know what to do and pull them in, hire journalist professional who don't like Anil, don't like Kamla, don't like Rowley, don't like Al-Rawi. They love the country. Just print the truth, ask the hard questions, and analyze and do the fact checking. End of story. Kamla did the work 9 years ago. Say sorry, Armor, says the DPP, all the lawyers. Prosecutors still are waiting the apology. All you wait, don't hold your breath, you know. Because one thing, you know, when a man has no class and a man can lie on an affidavit, say a file lost and lie when it's not lost. Lost 64 million. In 1 year, the worst attorney general in the world, gone to represent a man, lie that he's a senior counsel and a note taker. You waiting for this man to apologize? This man can't even spell apologize. As we move on, I run late, so Archie, we're moving on to some of them videos, right? I will go to, as we finish off in this country, go to the school violence, because this is a bit too much. I know I put you under pressure. I will deal with these other issues here. Show it. This is our school, Southeast Port of Spain.
Hey boy, hey! Hey boy, hey! Hey boy, hey! Hey boy!
So this riot in my
Order for fight, boy. Order for fight.
That would keep going on. I can't watch that. And just to let you all know, across the country also, a new trend of dastardly, disgusting behavior is going on, where that sort of indiscipline, and Rowley says he take no responsibility, that's all your parents' fault. Right? He not in charge of the economy, he not in charge of Petrotrin, he not in charge of the road, he ain't in charge of the water, he ain't in charge of the jobs, he ain't in charge of all your children fighting like hyena in African jungle. So he's the prime minister of nothing but golf. But male students now feel because bullying is allowed, because the prime minister is a bully and he could bully anybody, now he could bully the DPP, that bullying is allowed. And young boys across this country feel they could do girls anything they want. Newsday, you talking about sexual harassment in the workplace. Rowley won't bring that. Who's the #1 sexual harasser in the workplace? But let me tell all you something. And listen to this mother. And to the police, to Fitzgerald Hines, to the ministers with responsibility, to Ayanna Webster Roy, charge of children, to Minister Bundles, to all of you in government who like position and can't do your work. Y'all are disgraceful. Because this is just one story, but this is going on throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Hear the pain of this mother and check and see. Of course, they have 2-3 sides of story, but check the reports, check what she's saying, check the evidence, listen carefully, and no redress to sick, budding rapists in our schools taking advantage of girls. Listen carefully, and all of their fathers listen. Play.
Good afternoon, everyone. Who knows me? No, I'm not the type to vent on social media. This is the last resort. Over the past 2 to 3 months, I've had numerous reports of my children being on the receiving end of bullying. My child had lashes stemming from chairs, being attacked with chairs, iron chairs, to the back of his head, his back. He had to be in the health center. He had blood in his urine. My daughter was sexually harassed, being she slapped on her butt many occasions. Now, I did the right thing. I went to the station. I made numerous reports. I went to the school numerous times, and the principal told me all she can do is suspend. Okay, no problem. I cannot argue with that. I have, if you can look, all these are reports. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reports where I went to the station seeking help. Last Friday, my daughter was in school. The children had a free period where they engaged themselves in these rubber band fights and rubber band activities, play fights or whatever, right? So my daughter, being a quiet person, she stepped out of the class to abstain from getting lash in her eyes or whatever. Now, apparently, 3, 4, and 5 students, now I have their names, I gave the names to the police. 3, 4, and 5 students, 3, 4, and 5 boys, decide that the mother put her vagina there and they want to interfere with it. You understand? One gagged my daughter by her eyes, the other one gagged her mouth, and the other one held on to her arms, and they dragged up a step in an upper floor where they proceeded to fondle with her. They managed, they reached so far they removed her underwear and they started to touch her in her vagina. Plain talk, bad manners. If it was any other parent, I am positively sure they wasn't going to the police. They would have dealt with this themselves. I did the right thing again for the 5th or almost 6th time. I went to the police. I went to St. Margaret's police station, where the matter was forwarded to Child Protection Unit. We received a call. We went Tuesday. We gave our statements and whatever. Today, it didn't even make a week. It didn't even make 7 days. Today, I received a call during exam. My child is in Form 3. She has exams. Her exams were scheduled for today. She went to school today. My daughter, as well as my son, both are in Form 3. They went to school today. Only I have to receive a call, 1 o'clock, that these same 3 fellas come back again to attack my daughter again. They're shouting remarks at her. They're shouting taunts at her. They attempt to grab her again. But this time, well, last Friday, she didn't see who it was. But once a mistake, twice a habit. They come back again. They're trying to attempt again behind she. So I received a call from the school saying to go to the station. Went to the station again, make a report, seeing that it was 20 to 2, and I have to wait on my son. So I parked outside the school waiting on my son. Upon dismissal, Mr. Form 5 guy decided to say, when he see me stand up outside the car waiting on my children, "Ma'am, nobody I want your daughter. Nobody I want your daughter." When we interfere with she was dribbling. She liked that.
Principal, teachers, Children's Authority, police, Minister of Education, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister. All they don't do all their work. That lady and she husband, God bless them. They are very spiritual, very strong. I don't know about all you, but I weak. And as I sit here, I tell you that in life you must always go through things and know what you will do. When I went in to our government, I know what I go come out for. So if the People's Partnership wanted to go and bring smelter plant and kill people with cancer, testicular cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer and thing, I would have resigned. I coming out. Certain things like that. In life I could tell you that my life will mean nothing if any human beings do my daughters that. And if the people in authority cannot give justice and bring budding rapists and sickos, bullies to justice, then I could tell you without fear of contradiction, justice will prevail and I will go and sit down in the jail. No problem, me ain't having no case. No, I want no lawyer. Me, I go in and say exactly, I doing it one time. Because that had to be madness. My daughter, all you just going up, take my daughter going to study, and all you grab she and take she upstairs and pulling off she panty, and all you have to be mad. This country gone mad, and don't think that one incident that going on all over the place. And Rowley and them saying that's not we responsibility. So what do we have our government for? Look at this. No protection from criminals. 4 roads residents share concerns at town hall meeting. That Rowley constituency and the Nosebreaker and Colmimbat around there, all of them. Farmers shot in bed, dead. Pupils stabbed at school. Bandit killed in accident. Twin City residents adopt self-imposed restrictions after carjackings. Gunmen take over vendors' crab. Gun to thief crab under Rowley. Gun to thief crab. Them bandits and them so lazy they can't even go and catch their own crab. Carnage residents uneasy as youths turn back to guns. Rowley's constituency, Carnage. Wooling grocery shuts for good after home invasion. After 80 years in business, some old men wooling grocery. They say in St. James they never get robbed. They get beat up, battered, hospital. They say they're done with that. They send out a WhatsApp. Crime across the country. But you know why? Because the PNM does champion crime. Anytime the PNM comes into power, crime escalates. The highest murder rate, 2008, 528 murders, 550 murders, 2008. Rowley put the small pin, 2019, 539. Rowley put sleepy, narcolepsy, pumpsity, rasta, Hines, 614. We now start the year and we reach 129 already. You want to know why? Because the PNM does champion crime. I ain't say it, you know. Watch Miss PNM. Here she good.
This government continues to champion crime and criminality in this country. This government continues to champion crime and criminality in this country. This government continues to champion crime and criminality in this country.
About you. You are a woman who put PNM first. You are a woman that would not allow people to debate flooding, COVID-19, crime, murder, corruption. Nothing to debate. You don't even let the 6 opposition senators discuss 6 against 15 and including you 16 plus 9 behind, of which only 2 could be called kinda independent, but still you don't want the UNC and the opposition to talk because gospel of the PNM. You are PNM. You are Rowley and Rice. You won't isolate yourself. Look, woman, fire burn you. Don't feel because Rowley put you there that you are somehow achieved that office. PNM is not about merit. You don't deserve that office. You're not qualified enough for that office. You are the lowest qualified human being to ever be president-elect. And Rowley and the PNM are now controlling that. And you independent people, you're supporting this nonsense. This woman will be in charge of appointing EBC commissioners, public service commissioners, integrity commissioners, teaching service commission, police service commission to select commissioner police. That Rowley want to control every single thing. That woman, Kangaroo, and Mr. Kangaroo, who became Mr. Kangaroo after the sweet red man take he on a woman from him and he get a cocktail all down in Portersmith. That is what all you're putting in president's house. Red man don't go in the inauguration. All you're asking about who going? Not flipping me. Good night.